Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, Boy in the Gentle Noon Sun. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. At noon, the sunlight never rushed. It spilled gently through the thin curtains, landing in soft rectangles on the tiled floor of our small living room. Outside, the street hummed quietly. Distant motorbikes, a vendor calling out lunch specials, the faint clink of dishes from a neighbor's kitchen. Inside, everything slowed, as if time itself decided to take a nap. Boy noticed it before I did. He lifted his head from his usual spot near the sofa, ears twitching slightly as the light crept closer. His black and white fur shimmered where the sun touched it, and his eyes narrowed in contentment, not sleepiness. Boy never slept immediately when the sun appeared. He studied it first, as if deciding whether this noon was worth surrendering to. I was at the small dining table, half working, half scrolling, my lunch growing cold. The heat of the day pressed gently against my skin, not heavy enough to complain about, just warm enough to remind me that the world was alive and moving, even if I wasn't. Boy stood up and stretched in a slow, exaggerated way. Front paws forward, back arched, tail lifted and wagged once, lazily, like a punctuation mark at the end of a sentence only he understood. Then he walked straight into the brightest patch of sunlight and sat down. This was his daily ritual. He lowered himself carefully, turning in a small circle, then finally lay down with a soft sigh. His chin rested on the floor. One ear flopped sideways. His breathing became slow and even, but his eyes stayed half open, watching dust particles float in the air. I smiled without realizing it. Boy had a way of reminding me that noon wasn't meant for rushing. It wasn't for checking notifications or worrying about what came next. Noon was for warmth, for quiet, for being exactly where you were. I pushed my chair back and sat on the floor near him. The tiles were cool beneath my legs, the contrast comforting. Boy didn't move, but his tail thumped once against the floor, a small acknowledgement. He knew I was there. That was enough. Outside, the world kept going. Inside, the noon sun wrapped us both in a calm we didn't ask for but desperately needed. The clock ticked softly on the wall, louder than usual in the quiet room. Noon had a strange way of amplifying small sounds. The hum of the fan, the rustle of leaves outside, Boy's steady breathing. I reached out and gently placed my hand on his back. His fur was warm where the sunlight touched it, cool where the shadow remained. He leaned into my touch instinctively, not even opening his eyes. Trust came easily to him. Trust was his default setting. Boy shifted slightly, stretching one paw toward me. It brushed against my leg and stayed there, heavy and reassuring. I laughed softly. Is this your way of holding hands? I whispered. His tail moved again, slow and relaxed. Boy had always been like this, never demanding, never dramatic. He didn't bark for attention. He didn't whine. He simply existed beside me, offering quiet companionship in a world that often felt too loud. I thought about my morning, the rushed breakfast, the unanswered emails, the unnecessary stress over things that could wait. And here was Boy, reminding me that nothing terrible happened when you paused. The sun still shone. The room was still standing. Life didn't fall apart just because you chose to sit on the floor for a few minutes. A breeze drifted through the open window, carrying the smell of hot pavement and distant cooking. Boy's nose twitched. His ears lifted for a moment, alert but calm. Then he settled again, satisfied with simply noticing. I watched the rise and fall of his chest. Each breath was unhurried, honest. No pretending, no multitasking, just breathing. It occurred to me then that Boy didn't live in hours or schedules. He lived in moments. Warm moments. Quiet moments. Moments where a hand on his back meant everything. He turned his head slightly and looked at me, eyes soft and trusting. There was no question in his gaze, no expectation, just presence. I felt something loosen inside my chest. Maybe this was what happiness looked like, not excitement or achievement, but shared stillness under a gentle noon sun. As the afternoon slowly approached, the sunlight shifted across the floor. The bright patch began to fade, retreating inch by inch. Boy noticed immediately. He lifted his head, blinked, and let out a small huff, as if mildly disappointed. Then he stood up, shook himself once, and walked toward me. He sat down and leaned against my side, choosing closeness over warmth now that the sun had moved on. I wrapped an arm around him. His body fit naturally there, as if it had always been meant to. The moment felt simple, almost insignificant. But I knew it wasn't. Because in that quiet noon, Boy had given me something valuable. He reminded me that life doesn't always ask us to do more. Sometimes it asks us to notice more. In our busy modern lives, we often forget how to be present. We rush through meals. We half listen to loved ones. We measure our worth by productivity instead of peace. Animals like Boy don't understand any of that. And that is precisely why they teach us so well. Boy showed me that rest is not laziness. Pausing is not failure. Sitting quietly with someone you love is not wasted time. These moments recharge us in ways no screen or schedule ever could. From Boy, we can learn to respect natural rhythms, when to move, when to rest, when to simply lie in the sun and breathe. We can learn to communicate through presence instead of words, through touch instead of demands. Most importantly, we can learn kindness, the kind that doesn't ask for anything in return. Our relationship with animals is not about ownership or control. It is about coexistence, empathy, and mutual care. When we slow down to meet them where they are, we become better humans, more patient, more attentive, more compassionate. So today, if the noon sun finds its way into your home, pause. Sit on the floor. Stroke your pet's fur. Let the world wait. Because somewhere in that quiet moment, just like I did with Boy, you might rediscover what truly matters.